Greetings, guys. Welcome to CEO Chatter Live. I'm your hostess, Fancy, and CEO Chatter Live is where business and life intersect. We've been absent for a minute or kind of on hiatus, but we are returning live with our first guest, Dr. Jai. We're live here in Atlanta recording, and we're just going to get right into things as we're going to talk about her journey her entrepreneurial journey, as well as some personal things as well, since business and life intersect on CEO Chatter Live. So thank you all for tuning in. And if you are tuned in, be certain to drop us a comment and let us know where you're tuning in from, as well as don't forget to share the broadcast wherever you're tuning in from. So, Dr. Jai, just jumping right into things, can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Okay. Well, I am Dr. Jai. I am a medical provider and author. A mother, of course, and I have my grandson, so a new grandson. So I'm definitely happy
Oh,
about that. And I'm an entrepreneur. I have been an entrepreneur as when I was a teenager. My dad taught me to always have something of your own.
hmm.
So that was something that was rooted in me, and I've always tried to things that if it didn't work, I start over and try it again. So that's who I am. And I love people. I love giving back to the community, and I do as much as I can for them. So if anything I can do, I'm there.
I totally agree with you there. I also started as a teenager. My first business was actually like a little candy business. So, what was your first business?
Oh, well, actually, I was a little babysitter for a little while. And then I always kind of hung around my dad. So when Christmas come, we would make those wooden reindeers or
Hmm.
wooden wreaths and stuff like that. So I
Oh,
was I was that type of person. So we would make them, paint them, and sell them. And so yeah, he always told me, do something, have something. And so he always had his regular job, but he always had something on the side.
hmm.
So that was my first job. The babysitting wasn't for me.
It's funny because I always wanted to babysit, but it was like we did not have a lot of babies in our family,
Okay.
so I could never do that. So, but at least you got a chance to do
Oh
it,
yeah.
and yeah, and you know that you didn't care as much for it, and you kept it
I
moving.
kept it
So,
moving.
so your journey to becoming a healer is incredibly inspiring. Can you tell us a little bit about how your experience surviving a tragic car accident shaped your path toward medicine and healing?
Oh wow. Every time I tell this story, I just have flashbacks. That was the moment. That was the profound moment for me. Actually, when my brother, when it happened so fast, and I saw my brother arm just hanging, and I was like, what do I do? At that time, I'm just so devastated, and I just remember grabbing something. I don't know if it was a towel or whatever, but I just wrapped his arm up real tight, and I kept it. I just kept it like that until. The ER people came, I mean, the emergency people, paramedics came, and I just kept holding it. For some reason, something was like, hold it, hold it, hold it, don't let it go. Um, and that's when I remember when they was telling me if it had not been for telling my mom if your daughter hadn't held it, her son would have lost the arm. And just to see that arm just hanging, um, I was like, no, I need to be able to do something in medicine. I got to do something in medicine because that was like a passion for me. And ever since that, I've just been, medicine was in me.
Hmm.
It was something about I had to do something. If I couldn't fix it, I'm going to try to fix it. And I just believed in, health, wellness, all that. And even though I prescribe medicine, doesn't mean that I'm stuck on medicine. I believe in healing, natural healing as well, and mindset and all that. So that right there, it introduced me to the concept of medicine because we stayed in the hospital so long,
Hmm.
months at a time, and it also introduced me to the mindset of caring for people more than I knew that I was caring for people. So that was my profound moment.
So, do you feel like you were always kind of like one who did kind of care for people even before this happened? Were you kind of
Yes.
that person, the fixer person?
Yes, I was the go-to her. Go to Jawanda, go to Jai, go to they call me all kind of names, but yeah, I was the fixer. I guess you can say the problem solver.
Okay.
I would come up with something. I don't know what it would be, but it'll come up with something. So I just always believed in, if I can't help you, I'm not going to hinder you.
Right.
And if I can do anything, just any little thing to help someone, to save someone, that's what I'm gonna
A natural healer.
do. Yes.
So you wear so many hats: medical provider, entrepreneur, author, and model. How do you manage to juggle all these roles while maintaining your focus on your mission of healing?
Whew. You know what? I had to think about that myself. I'm like, okay, how do I do all that? But I have to go back to the foundation of my purpose. God has aligned me with so many gifts,
Mhm.
per se. And all I do is I meditate a lot, and I have to have that alignment with my mind, body, soul, and spirit to guide me in which angle. So to be honest, when I'm doing all of my jack of trades, it's nothing to me. It's just like natural. And I can also that it contribute to my healing.
Mhm.
And when I say that, is because of the journey that I went through with trauma, with divorce and domestic violence. And at that point, it allowed me to forget that, block it out, keep working, just
Mhm.
always doing something. And I've gotten into the habit of that. And so it's sort of kind of helped me with it did help me with the healing process. But it also opened up so many doors of gifts that God gave me. And I have to use my gift, because they're saying, if you don't use your gift, you're
Yeah,
going
it's
to
a
lose
waste.
it. So, yes. So when I'm juggling and just around here, like, like a little mouse chasing the cheese, it doesn't phase me. I just do it. So I say it's a gift from God to give me that sense of direction, and that sense of discernment of where I need to do, how I need to do it, and stay focused. So it's all Him.
And discernment is a gift within itself.
Oh
Because
yes.
I pray for supreme discernment, because I realized that was actually something I kind of lack,
Mhm. Mhm.
And when I realized, I didn't even know, I didn't have a word for it at first. But
Mhm.
once I learned the word for it, I see it myself gradually practicing it more. But I
Mhm.
think that those who are able to, really distinguish between situations or things, I feel like those are really blessed people, because you can kind of see things more so for what they are,
Yes.
a lot of the times.
Yes.
And especially in this day and age, just so much pretending and fake stuff, you really
I'm
can't
telling
always
you.
tell. So I used to be one of those, oh, if it glitters, then it's gold. And I had to really
Mhm.
learn the difference between the two. So I'm
Mhm.
glad that you mentioned that. So at Divine Medical Healthcare Services and all your other businesses, you emphasize the importance of personalized care. What does compassionate therapeutic care look like to you, and how do you ensure that it remains at the core of your work?
It's individualized space. I don't just um, I just don't prescribe medicine. I just don't give you something to push you out to the door. I embrace my patients. I embrace my clients, per se. I want to get to know you. I need to know who you are, and you need to know who I am. You need to be in a safe place with me. And when we establish that safe place and that safe relationship between the two, then the process of whichever alignment that we need to take to make sure that you're okay, that's the alignment we're going to do. So it's sort of like the 101 trust,
Mm.
patient relationship. But I go a little bit deeper, because sometimes people just need you to listen.
Right.
They just need someone. This world nowadays, and I hate to say it, you don't know who to talk to. You don't know what to say, what to do. You don't know who to trust, and when you're going through something, believe it or not, one of the coping mechanisms is being able to talk. And so you got to have that person that you feel comfortable with. So I have to establish a safe place. If we can't establish a safe place, then I can't really help you like I want to.
Hmm.
And I have dismissed patients because it's not safe, it's not going to help you nor me,
Right.
because you're not ready to move forward. So I'm very in tune with the intuitive and healing process. Your body, mind, and soul, and spirit all has to be aligned, and we have to work together to make sure that you're getting what you need.
It's a joint effort.
It's a joint effort.
And I know we as Black women right now have really been talking more about, just choosing the right providers, and making certain that it's providers that we can trust that are actually listening to us. So it sounds like you do a really good job with that, providing that to your clients. So, in your opinion, what is the most overlooked aspect of health and wellness? How do you address that in your service and your approach to patient care?
You know, I'm just going to put it out there. Some of us in the medical field are looking for dollars. Do they really care about the patient? Or are they just trying to, hey, I made $250 off that visit. Oh, I got a staffing for prescribing that. So it's a struggle. It's a struggle, especially when I see some of my colleagues doing that, because it's not about trying to, let me just put it this way. I understand we have a business. We have a business to run. But at what cost do you run your business? Are you really there for the patients? Or are you there to get a dollar? Because in some way, something's going to happen down the line. So are you there to really help them get, I've done so many free patient visits, free patient care. It's not about the money for me. So I think that I know we have to have money to survive, but I think the root of money when it comes to the medical field, because you have so many avenues that you can get a stipend, you can get this and that, it has impacted the quality care of how we give into patients. And it bothers me. It really does. You're going to put somebody on a medication that it's not good for them, but you're going to get a stipend for them. It bothers me. Let's talk about us as Black women when we're having our babies. You're going to do all these tests, but you're not going to tell us the results. But you're going to make sure you do the test. Then when it's time to give birth, you're not giving quality care.
Right.
And that's where a lot of issues come up with me. I'm very outspoken when it comes to that. So don't just pump your patients up with stuff to get to benefit you. Make sure that you're all in tune with them, and you're going to get your blessings. If you do right, you're going to get your blessings. So I struggle with that. I definitely struggle with that.
I could see that being a struggle. It makes me think about some movie I had saw, and it just kind of made me more aware of like how I'm not gonna say doctors can kind of push drugs off onto people, because of the kickbacks that they get and so on. And I had never really thought about that before, but now to hear you say that as well, it's kind of like, okay, so we do know this really is a thing, and I'm so glad to hear that that's something that you're mindful of, because I don't really hear a lot of people talking about that in that type of light, because it almost seems like it's something they don't want us to know about.
Exactly. It's sort of like one of those little concepts. We're going to just keep it on the low, and we're going to do what we need to do. But, we're just going to keep it like that. But when it comes to ethical for me, I can't do it. It's not right. We're all human beings. And then I always think, what if that was me?
Right.
I mean, I got somebody just pumping me with all kind of stuff. And then you're just giving medications and you're just doing this and you're not really worried about the genetics. Do they really? Can we really? Because as Black people, we can't take certain medication. So are you really looking at what we can take? Or are you just giving us what
Yeah.
So yeah, it just goes, it's a little bit deeper for me. It's a little bit deeper. And I just realized that in today's society, we have to really stay true to self. And we still have to we got to do right.
Right.
You got to do right. I mean, the world got full of, it's all kind of stuff out here. But at least try to do right. If you feel like you just doing something to get a dime, then that's not for you.
Right.
Okay.
So that's a hustle.
That's a hustle. You're doing a side hustle. And on the other hand, I'm providing care because that's my purpose and that's my compassion. Something ain't right.
Yeah.
It makes you think about it. I'm like, okay.
So, you've mentioned that health goes beyond the physical, which we recently talked about. How do you incorporate emotional, spiritual, and mental wellness into the work you do? And why is this holistic approach important?
Oh wow, that's a good one. Because I not too long ago I got certification in all of that, especially intuitive healing, um, also in spiritual healing, all of that. And I do a lot of speaking engagements on that topic per se, and I'll call it connecting the dots, because you have to connect the dots to stay in alignment to move forward. It starts with your mindset, and it came from me from an experience of domestic violence. It made me realize, if I don't care about myself, then how am I move forward? And when you're having all your emotions all rolling up in all kind of ways, it impacts your physical. I mean, because you got all these, a lot of people don't realize, but diseases come from imbalanced emotional stress and a lack of spiritual concept.
Dis-ease.
So it comes from that, and if you're not in alignment and not connecting those dots, you're gonna have those elements. So let's just start with the mindset, and start with the intuitive healing, which helps you to understand, I have to do right for myself to do right for others. Because if you don't love yourself, how you gonna do love someone else?
Right.
So you just gotta. It's all connected. I speak on that. I teach on that, and I usually do a little quick assessment with my patients and my clients, even my friends. They don't even want to talk to me, because here I am assessing 24/7, just to see where you are, where your mindset. Okay, we got stuff going on, but where's your mindset? Because you got to be healthy to fight off all these organisms and spirits that come before you. And when you talk about spirituality, that's a little iffy subject. People get all tense and stuff. But the fact of the matter, your spiritual well-being plays a major part in your mindset and your healing.
Right.
So whether you want to hear it or not, those are facts. You know. So spiritual healing it plays all of it's connecting the dots. So I'm so in tune with that. I can talk all day about that. So, and I just started a platform called Untamed Trauma, because we have trauma that's not tamed, and we're allowed to take over us. So I have a platform with that, and then I have a group where you come in and I can help you work through your trauma, whether it's childhood, any type of trauma. Trauma is trauma.
Right.
Because if you can't break those down, you're gonna be living like that forever.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle. It's cycle. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think we don't. And what you say is, spirituality can be like a touchy subject for some people, but I don't think we give enough recognition to it and how it plays. How it's such a big factor in our daily lives.
Exactly.
So I agree with you there. So, as a visionary, you've expanded into so many areas, including wellness, beauty, and legal consulting. How do these diverse ventures tie into your overarching mission of healing and helping others?
Oh wow. Oh, so let's take the healing part. The healing part, when you're doing something good, when you feel like you're fulfilling your purpose, regardless if you're dealing with an issue of cancer, I hate to say the big C word, or dealing with, organs and problems. I ain't gonna go all into the medical field. But when you're out here doing what God has gave you to do, and you fulfilling your purpose, and you're living the life you want, it's not all about materialistic things. It's that being at peace, having that peace within. It all connects. It's just peaceful, and you have a balance. When you have a balance, you can conquer anything. I don't care what you throw before me. I can conquer it, because I'm in tune with self. I think a lot that goes on nowadays is that we're so caught up in, I gotta be like this, I gotta have this, I want this, I gotta look this way, I gotta be that way. We're so caught up into that, until it's simple. It's just balance. peace. Embrace who God put you are. Everybody's unique in their own way. Stop trying to be like Tom, Trisha. I don't care, But if you have that peace and that balance, you can accomplish anything you want. Whatever you put on your vision boards, because I do that. Your mind
The foundation of everything, like
mm-hmm.
once you have that makes you can conquer anything, as you said. So I
Right.
do believe in that. Let me see. What was my next question? What has been the most rewarding part of building long-term relationships with your patients, and how do you see these connections as part of your broader vision for wellness?
Oh, wow. When they come back to me and say thank you. When they come back to me and say, if it had not been for you. When they come back to me and say, hey, I just love being who I am. When it come back to I was in my darkest moment and it wasn't about medication or anything, you were there. It's just when they just come back just to say, hey, thank you. They don't even have to say thank you. They ain't even really got to tell me nothing. But if I can see them and I see that they're moving gracefully and they're enjoying life,
The
that
transformation.
transformation. And if I can do something or help someone, just one person, I'm okay with that each day. I just know that people need people. I'm so sick and tired of people talking about, I don't need nobody. I don't want nobody. I ain't got to have nobody. I'm independent. I'm sick and tired of that because everybody needs somebody. This world is crazy. Mentally, you need somebody.
Right.
You need it. So stop that. Do that. Do me a favor with that. Stop that. And let's just say, hey, we need each other. We need each other. But yeah, I get a kick out of just seeing them how they overcame or are dealing with their health issues and not letting it tear them down. I especially with my weight loss program, the transformation, how they're saying like I don't need that shot no more. I'm doing me. It's just because they have got that mindset that I can still do and I'm gonna do it. So I just get a kick out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just makes me think, like, with hairstylists, we get our hair done and we might come back and tell the hairstylist, oh, you don't know how that looked. Just I got all these compliments and so on and so on. So,
Mm-hmm.
but imagine like the magnitude of when it's your health. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
just thinking about that, that is a whole other level of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking about a person being in pain or and no longer having to experience that or whatever the
Right.
um ailment may have been. So that makes a lot of sense. So you face your own challenges and moments of darkness in life. How have these personal trials shaped your approach to helping others, especially in the most vulnerable moments of their health journeys?
Mm. So let's go a little bit deeper than that. And I can relate to health issues because of the trauma that I went through.
Mhm.
And the reason why that I know I have the health issues is because 9 times out of 10, stress weakens your immune system and you have those issues. Just my experience being in the darkness, I call it per se, and sleeping with the enemy per se. I have all I got all kind of titles. Um, it definitely destroyed my mindset. It destroyed my heart because I was like hating people.
Mhm.
I was just like weak, not wanting to eat, depressed, all that. It just destroyed my immune system. And when my immune system got so low, that's when elements started coming into my life. I didn't realize it at that point how it was really impacting me, but later on in my life, I realized that yeah, when you have an immune disorder, your emotional your emotional barriers definitely plays a major part. And so I know by me going through what I went through caused a lot of my elements. And I deal with them every day, but I'm okay with it because now I know how, when, and why. Now I know how to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's being at peace. That's being at peace. Was I kind of frustrated and devastated? Because I feel like, why do I gotta have this? Why I gotta do this? Yeah. But God gave me this to build me who I am today.
Right.
So that's my story, my journey. But it doesn't mean that your journey is not as special as mine. It just shows that it starts deeper.
Mm-hmm.
It starts deeper. So you got to go back and start searching. When did I start having these elements? What happened? What made me do this? What made this come on me? What made me feel this way? All of that gut feeling, all of those mindset, the emotional roller coaster came from some type of trauma. That's why I talk about peace all the time. Peace and balance. Get a hold of that, you got it.
This is it was one of my original questions, but just something I've been, I don't know if I heard this or what it was, but it just kind of began to play out in my head. And I was thinking about how they say, babies can feel trauma in the womb. And then I was thinking about like how we as women carry our eggs and how that trauma goes. It really can go
It
back
goes, and
generations.
generation. And I hate to say it, but no, I'm gonna tell you like it is. Trauma, if you don't deal with that, it's going to continue to impact everything inside of you and around you. Babies, especially. That's why they say when you're pregnant, you don't supposed to get upset. You don't need to be emotional. You don't need to be around anything that makes you uncomfortable because trauma, and even the deep rooted trauma, just say if you've been raped before, you've been beat, that trauma, those concepts and that emotional intuitive gut feeling transform into the baby. So when your baby is growing up and you're wondering why your baby acting out in school, okay,
goes back to that.
You know what I'm saying? So where do you think he got that from? What if you and your partner, your spouse was fussing and arguing? Where do you think he got it from? So, and then if you holding something in your gut and you're not releasing it, and baby come out not want to, just closed, don't want to deal with people, fear, where do you think that baby got it from? So that's when you got to learn to deal with the trauma, release it, because you don't want, it's a generational. It impacts your whole generation. Your kids grow up like that. For instance, I was in a domestic violence. I'm not embarrassed to say it. And the quick thing, everything someone's saying is, why you stay? I don't want to hear that right now. My thing is it impact my daughter. It impact my kids, because the fact that even when they could have been small, some of them saw that. Now you grow up, they don't really want to have they don't do well in their relationships. They don't know how to cope with their relationships. All because of what the generational part of what we had to go through. We have to release it, and we have to make sure that our kids understand that it's okay. See, we so quick to sweep stuff under the rug. I don't care what it is. We just, oh, girl, that ain't nothing. Sweep them under the rug. You have to deal with it. And that's where we're lacking. Nobody really wants to come out and deal with it because they're scared. They don't know if they can trust you. They don't know if they can, how it's going to turn out. They don't want to bring up them old emotions, some flashbacks, for me sleeping with the enemy and then I'm looking at this guy, you know what I'm saying? So you have to deal with it, and it does. It impacts the baby. So that's you got to be careful, especially when you're pregnant. Please just be careful. If you don't have just no peace, don't do it. Don't entertain it.
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad I got to ask that question, because it was just something I had been thinking about really deeply. And then, now it's like a confirmation to it. So, so as a businesswoman, what are some of the most important lessons you've learned about balancing personal growth, professional success, and maintaining mental and emotional well-being?
Oh, wow. Let's start with relationships.
Okay.
I struggle with relationships. I used to struggle with relationships in the past. Number one, I'm a workaholic, and it's kind of hard to deal. Some guys don't want to deal with all that, working all the time and not spending time with them. And then also my career and it's demanding. So you have to understand that I'm not going to be able to sit at the table with you every night and have dinner with you.
Right.
So, and then the fact of the matter is they already prejudge you, like you're so independent, you don't need anybody. That is not the case. Guys, that's not the case.
It's not.
It is not the case. Just because we're working and we got a lot of stuff going on does not mean we don't need you. Okay? But at the end of the day, I struggle with that. I used to struggle with that big time because I was quick to say, I ain't got time with him. Now he acting funny because I got to go to work. And I just dismiss it. I would go MIA quick. I'm like, so yeah, that was a challenge. And with my personal life, with my professional life, I was an overachiever. I'm still an overachiever. And that could be a bit much sometimes because I drown myself into, I got to do this and it has to be this way. So that's going to be with me until I die. Okay, so I just accepted that part. So, and then mental well-being, I always try to make space for what I like to do. I find I love to go to waters. I do my me time. I do a meditation. I do a lot of meditation because all up in this head right here, I need to release some stuff. But yeah, my relationship was the biggest challenge for me was relationships.
And I think you really made a great point, whereas you said about just the point about dating and men thinking that they're not needed because we are workaholics. Because I think I'm a workaholic myself, and even when you were saying that earlier about keeping busy, I almost wanted to ask you then, like, how do you stop doing that? Because I struggle with that so badly. But at the same time, you just said yourself, like, you just accepted it. You realize that's who you are. So that I think it was a message that I needed to hear, because I've always been like, well, for the past few months anyway, I've just kind of been like, oh, you need to slow down, or you need to, I've been such a workaholic that I don't even know what my hobbies really. For the past year, I've just been trying to find, what interests me. So it has been a challenge. So I understand where you're coming from there. So looking ahead, what are some of your dreams for the future of your businesses and your impact on the communities you serve?
Well, definitely with the community is to really do more in the community. I do as much as I can, but I need to stop making excuses that I don't have time. So with that being said, for my career, I'm going to scale back a little bit. Not my purpose, just some of the things that I'm doing. I feel like at this point in my life that I have achieved what I wanted to achieve. And that was to be able to give back as much as I can on any avenue. I'm just a vessel. Any avenue any gift that God has given me and I can give back, I'm okay with that, So at this point for my business now, I'm going to be honest. I tell you, I'm going to scale back. Then you're going to look up and say, this is doing something else. But in my heart at this moment, I do want to scale back a little bit and focus on some of the other avenues of gifts that I have. I'm doing a lot of presentations now, so I always love to talk and speak. And then I'm trying to get back into writing my books because I fell off on that as well. So I'm going to scale back probably a little bit on medical, but that's my passion. But I'll keep my telemed for sure. My telemed is my heart. So I'm going to be there, but I gotta find a balance. And when I feel like I don't have a balance, I'm all over the place. So that's where I'm at. So today I'm going to scale back. I'll let you know if something else changed.
So before we close out, then Is there anything, if you had to say, just one message that you would like to give to our listeners and watchers right now, what would that be?
Be you. I feel like that so much of our time, our energy, and we can put on something else instead of trying to be like Sarah, Mary, Tom, and Jane. Be you. Be true to you. Remember, everybody doesn't fit in your puzzle, and you don't fit in everybody's puzzle. So you have to just realize what your purpose is, how you're gonna move, because whether you're gonna slow walk it or you're gonna run to it. But just be you. I am so tired of all these fakers. Okay, I just had to put that in. Just be you, because you're gonna be accepted somewhere, somehow. It may not be where you want it to be, but that's because God doesn't want you there. It's you just got to realize, be who you are, and they're gonna gravitate to you.
Wow, because my thing I always say is keep doing you, and somebody's gonna feel you. Like somebody is always out there that's gonna connect to you.
Right.
It may not be the people that you want initially, but there's somebody else who is similar, that they're gonna be able to resonate with whatever it is that you're speaking on or doing.
Right.
Or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Exactly.
So Dr. Ja, where can our community connect with you?
I'm all over the place. No. So I'm on Facebook. It's Dr. Ja Ja. I'm on Instagram. Is Dr. Ja Johnson, Dr. Ja _loving, and Dr. Ja and the Divine Medical on IG. So I'm over there. I really don't do the websites that much unless you go to my business page, but I try to every now and then put my bio links on there on my social media pages, and I post one up today, so where you can always see what I'm doing, what I got going on, and what I've done. So, but Facebook is me.
Okay. That's where you hang out.
Yeah, that's where I hang out.
Okay. Well, excuse me, because we talked about allergies earlier. Okay, yeah. It's starting to get to me, but thank you so much for joining me. I have really enjoyed this. I know that our listeners and our viewers are going to enjoy this, even if they're catching a replay or if they're listening on whatever platform that may be. And I wish you much more continued success. It seems like you've already had a lot of success. But one thing too, I just want to note that I took away from what you said was that you felt like well, how did you word this? Basically, like you've accomplished what you set out to do. And I don't often hear people say that. So it's really good to have a conversation with someone who has, I guess you could say, completed the race, but is still going and looking back and still continuing to help others, So I like that a lot. Thank you.
It was a pleasure today. I enjoyed talking to you. We can sit by the pool and talk all day long. I really enjoyed it, and I wish you so much success. And I see you be doing things now. Keep doing it. Don't stop. Don't worry about what the world looking at and all that. Do you, embrace you, and keep that discernment on top.
Thank you. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. As you all come in and watch the replay, don't forget to share. Don't forget to leave comments. And you can also listen to this episode as we're going to be uploading into Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you are more of an audio person, you can definitely tune in there, and we'll keep you posted when the episode drops. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace and blessings.
Bye. Thank you.